Persona 3 has one of my favorite characters in video game history, a touching story with great resolutions, and an unforgettable soundtrack that I think everyone should experience. I would absolutely never recommend another human being to play this game. Let me explain. I began playing Persona 3 FES in the middle of quarantine. I played Persona 4 and 5, and so it was finally time for Persona 3, since I had literally nothing better to do. I get the game, and man, that familiar feeling of starting a Persona game was something else. I was really excited to finally play this game. Now, I get through the beginning and I'm hooked. The characters look really cool, the music is fire, just these classic Persona vibes. An hour in or so and I think, wow, this game is great. I'm a little annoyed I can't teleport to other locations at any point. I gotta talk to this guy. But whatever, it's an older game, I can live with this minor inconvenience. The game advances, turns out the MC got personas? Fucking crazy, right? This is where we are introduced to Tartarus, the area you explore and grind in Persona 3, and this is where the game first gets into shambles for me. Now, the gameplay in Persona 5 and 4 were never the highlights of the game. A lot of the time it was a grind since, hey, it's a JRPG, so I knew what I was getting into. The Persona 5 palaces had their own puzzles and themes. Persona 4 palaces were extremely repetitive, but at least each one had a different theme song and surrounding. Persona 3 Tartarus is the same goddamn maze for the entire game. Sometimes the colors change, and they add an instrument to the same song every once in a while. Those hours you spend grinding in Tartarus drag on, because you can't beat an area of Tartarus in 15 minutes. No, you gotta spend time there, grind, and then beat these bosses that are twice as hard as the actual plot bosses. Now, although the environment is monotonous, that doesn't mean the battles themselves are, right? Haha, wrong. I genuinely cringe whenever I think back to Persona 3 battle system, where features long abandoned in Persona 4 and 5 are at their full strength in 3. First, you have this feature where you get tired. God, this is horrible. Like, literally it's garbage and it's entirely unnecessary. Basically, you and your pals can get tired in Tartarus. This means they're more likely to miss their moves, sometimes they'll knock themselves out, and they'll never land crits, which is the worst. Not only that, but let's say you want to go to the lobby, because you want to make a new persona, because the only place in Tartarus you can access the room to make personas in is in the lobby. Your tired party members will instantly ditch you. They're gone for the night, there's no getting them back, you're on your own. And being in Tart with anything less than a full party is suicide. What sucks even more is that if the party member who left is a core member, then they're gonna miss out on juicy XP that the rest of your party will obtain. Usually the mindset for a task that is tedious and annoying is to just get it over with. But this mechanic is basically trying to force you to come back another night and not beat the level of Tartarus in one sitting. So not only do you get this shitty mechanic, but another shitty mechanic in making personas themselves. Personas with good moves are crucial, since the elements they possess are vital. It's like Pokemon, right? You gotta have maximum coverage of a potential opposing Pokemon's weakness. So let's say you want a specific loadout from a persona, where you want 2 moves from this persona and 1 move from this one. In Persona 5, you get to choose which ones you keep when you make them. In Persona 4, you get to choose. In Persona 3, fuck you. It's absolute RNG. You have no choice. This may not sound like a big deal, but I've heard of people spending a solid hour trying to get the perfect moves. And it's the worst, man. Like, sometimes you get 2 out of the 3 moves you want, but the third one is just a god-awful move. And you have to make the decision if you want to cut your losses with a shit move and 2 solid ones, or if you want to roll the dice again. It's agony, painful, and just absolutely unnecessary. But, and hear me out, that is not the worst thing about the gameplay of Persona 3. The worst thing by far of Persona 3 gameplay is the fact that you cannot control your teammates' moves. It is the most frustrating, tedious, joy-robbing thing on the planet. I had no idea how privileged I was playing Persona 4 and 5. Some people are going to defend this and say they enjoyed it, but those people are liars. What you can do in Persona 3 is guide your party to an extent by commanding them to do ambiguous things like use less magic or focus on healing, but that's it. And bro, it's like for every single turn, you spend like 3 minutes on the MC's turn because you gotta micromanage for the situation going on. And if something goes different from what you expect, you gotta hope what you told your boy to do works. For example, here's a simple situation. There's 5 enemies, all weak to ice. Your homie has a move that uses an individual ice attack that costs 12 SP. They also have an ice move that hits all the enemies at the same time, for 24 SP. Now, for those who've never played Persona, SP is just stamina, right? It's like the limiting factor in battles. You constantly feel the pressure to conserve SP, because if you run out, that's it, you're just kind of screwed for the night, because items that restore SP are rare. If you're in Tartarus, where you want to make the most out of every exploration, it's vital to conserve your SP. Now, back to the example. Anyone with half a brain would use a move that costs 24 SP to just get it over with, right? Well, the AI refuses to be optimal and would much rather use the individual move 5 fucking times, using over double the amount of SP necessary. Other times, you want your partner to use a move that buffs the speed of the team. But meh, you know, they might not feel like it, and they'll buff your defense instead. And it's random shit like this that could literally cost you the battle in Persona 3. And if you lose the battle in Persona 3, you reload from the last time you saved. And you can only save at the base of Tartarus. So you can have situations where you've just spent the last 45 minutes grinding, your entire team being tired, so you're not able to save since your squad, you know, they'd leave you. But you just want to get this level of tart over with, so you head in a battle, you lose because your teammate used the wrong move, and all that progress you had, gone. This is the type of shit that creates serial killers. And also, if your teammate gets killed in battle, they're just dead. You must abandon their deceased, lifeless body if you do not have a revival move, and so this is just traumatic in all fronts. Now let's say you're a determined or psychotic person and won't let the gameplay bother you. Or you find a loophole by playing the game on easy mode, thus not having to worry as much. Well, there's another problem. Persona 3 is flawed in the sense that the calendar system it has going on depends on the moon cycle, and so the story's juice only happens once a month, maybe a few extra days of that month. So literally, you go an entire 3.5 in-game weeks without anything advancing plot-wise. Not only does this make you forget some key aspects of the plot, but it just results in poor pacing of the story in general. And that pacing is key, since it's what lets you get invested in the story and actually care about it and its characters. When that gets ruined, you can ruin the entire game for you as a whole. Now this is extremely notable in Persona 3, where like I said, nothing can go on for weeks at a time. Well, you might be thinking, at least they have the social link stories you can work on in the meantime, and this is true. The social link moments, which is basically, you know, chilling with the homies, is one of the most notable things about the Persona series in general. Persona 3 is also known for having the best social links in the series for people outside your party. However, there is a flaw to this. There are 20 social links in the game. Out of those 20, only 2 you can do at night. Once you finish those 2 social links, you spend the rest of the game doing the exact same thing. Raising stats or going to Tartarus. That's it. Half the game is spent doing literally one of those 2 things, neither of which are fun, interesting, engaging, or stimulating. The pacing gets even worse because the same monotonous vibe at night just makes you so bored, and those days when the plot actually continues feels like forever away. Then once you get there, bam, the cycle starts over for another 3 weeks. Better hope those 2 nighttime social links last you a long time. Speaking of social links, remember earlier I said the Persona series is known for its social links and how it's a big selling point for the game? Well, they somehow managed to drop the ball on the social links that matter the most, the people in your party. You know, the characters you spend literally the entire game with, the ones you would want more than anyone to spend homie time with? Well, they made it so that the male party members don't have a social link. Think about that. Some of the best characters in the series, and Ken, don't have social links at all. Why? I genuinely have no idea. Not only that, but they made the girls' social links unnecessarily complicated. There's this mechanic for literally every female social link your age that when they reach a certain level, they start to get jealous if you talk to other girls. Now, for regular social links, you have 60 days to see them again, or else they get mad at you and it just kind of messes with the social link. Basically, it's a hassle. With the girls though, not only do you have those 60 days, but each time you see a girl, regardless of the rank by the way, the time limit is subtracted by 15 days. So let's say you meet with girl 1, you have 60 days left to talk to them. Well, let's say you talk to girl 2, you now have 45 days left to talk to girl 1. And that just keeps going on and on. Why is this a thing? I genuinely have no idea. It's so dumb, and not only that, but if you reach level 10 with a girl, you automatically romance them without any say, making you a bit of a hoe if you reach level 10 with a couple girls. So consider all this. Consider the game is already a decade old, hasn't aged particularly well in graphics and mechanics, so that already makes it unappealing. Then you have a battle system that is at best tedious. Then you have a story and characters that are rich in quality, but it trudges along, poor pacing and silly mechanics that just leave more to be desired. You have monotonous moments in between that make you yearn for the actual story, and if you don't consider that moment very good, that next plot point might not be something you think would be worth waiting for. There's also a bunch of things I didn't mention, like there only being one location you can visit at night that's not your home, or the fact that it literally takes 6 months to be able to even start the social link of a squad member since you have to max an individual stat to talk to them, or that Ken exists, or with all these elements together, Persona 3 becomes a game that is very hard to enjoy in a modern gaming environment. I've always enjoyed the Persona games because of their story more than their gameplay, but if Persona 3 is your first Persona game, I doubt many of you will stay interested long enough to finish it just because of how much of a chore it feels to play. However, I said earlier that it has some of my favorite characters in video game history, and that the story itself is phenomenal despite the pacing issues. And this is true. I think you should absolutely experience Persona 3. The best choice in my opinion would be to watch someone else's playthrough. They'll likely know what they're doing, and not only that, the most important part, you'll be able to skip the unnecessary Tartarus grind, which is a massive chunk of time saved. You'll be able to experience the story better since you won't have to wait as long, all while enjoying the amazing story the game has to offer. The second best option would be to watch the Persona 3 movies, which are 4 1.5 hour long movies about the game. While it's an amazing adaptation and it's spectacular in its own right, it obviously won't capture as much as the original game does. Basically, your best bet to experience the Persona 3 story is to watch the gameplay. If you're really not feeling it after a while, then watch the first Persona movie. If you like the movie, great, yeah, keep watching the movies. If you don't like the movie, I guess Persona 3 ain't for you. But truly, the theme Persona 3 has is one that is profound and undoubtedly clicks with you long after you complete it. So overall, give the story a try. It's entirely worth it, as long as you aren't playing the game itself.